Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about exploring the realities and complexities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Prevention and Education team at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support services or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Real-ationship Goals. Today we have another community partner episode for y'all. I am your host. My name is Meryl. I am the Health Equity Programming Specialist here at the Advocacy Center, and I use she, her pronouns. So today we have special community member Justin Rice with us here today. Justin, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Justin Rice, he, him. Basically, I work for the Department of Housing and Community Development at the City of Waco, as well as I'm the vice chairperson for the Waco Hannon Foundation. It was a nonprofit that was founded by a good friend of mine. And also, funny enough, Meryl and I are high school classmates, so
We sure
it just works out so well.
We were in band together.
We were.
And my spouse was in his same section, and they really were friends.
Not only that.
Adrian adores you.
Not only that, but we were in Taekwondo
Yes,
together.
y'all were in Taekwondo together, and oh my gosh, my youngest, Frankie, she's going to that same studio.
Really?
Yep, she
is
just
Master
started.
Lundberg still there?
I think so. Adrian went there the other day to see them. Okay. Catching up. Just moving on to the first question, which is really the second question, but you already answered the first question. When you hear men as allies, what does that mean to you, specifically within the realm of violence prevention?
When I hear men as allies, I pretty much think of just accountability, holding each other accountable, making sure that hey look, no matter what, no matter how angry you get, no matter how upset you are, there's other ways besides violence when it comes to an argument with not only a friend, but if you're in a spouse or in a relationship. Basically, yes, it's as simple as just walking away, or basically just reevaluating, taking a deep breath and stepping back, and basically also holding each other accountable, and being positive role models, as well as, again, just saying, hey, look, if you see an issue or you see a friend going down a path that is not right and they're going to harm someone who's close to them, it's like, hey, we need to talk about this, we need to intervene, and not being afraid to do that.
Yeah, that's so important. We often hear of this like locker room talk, and the problem is no one stops it.
Yeah.
It just allows to keep happening. So having men in those situations to stop it and like correct and educate is so important. I want to ask you another question. When you said be a role model, what does that look like for you? What does being a role model in that way look like for you?
A role model in that way, basically, is just like I surround myself with with friends that are just very one, they've been in relationships and I've seen their relationship be strong, especially with when it comes to either other women or basically just how they treat their spouse, how they treat their loved one. You can tell a lot about how, if they talk about, if you're someone who's like, yeah, they cheated on their spouse or something, and they're open about it, that's not someone who I feel is someone who I can be friends with or someone who I can talk with, because that stuff can seep in, or that stuff can be, they try to make it acceptable in me, that if it's like something, it's, for me, if it's basically something as a case of, if you're not saying anything, you're kind of just letting that be tacit approval. And so my role models are people who, like my dad, people who are just kind, genuine to their loved ones, who just give a lot, understand a lot, and are very patient and kind.
I love that. Thank you so much. What do you think prevents boys and men from understanding their role in this work?
I think that is a very good question.
Isn't it?
It is. I think it's a case of, it's those societal pressures. Sometimes the case of we're still, in a way, things are things are different, and things have changed a lot rapidly. There's a lot of outside pressure. Sometimes that what does it take to be a man? It's being strong. It's not crying. It's not showing that emotion, which was that old school way. And even now, it's still done with the internet. The internet, sometimes you have the neo-masculinity beginning to rise again. With that idea of just a twisted form of masculinity. And so there's those pressures not only from the internet, but from society as a whole, from basically, and sometimes from friends. And so
yes,
that puts that pressure on you to stay in that circle and not go outside of it.
No, it really is. It's like this, like everyone says in this realm of work, the patriarchy doesn't just hurt women. Sexism doesn't just hurt women. Like, it really does hurt men and boys as well, and it puts them in this box, and if they go outside the box, then they have to face the negative societal pressure and like condemnation and judgment, and so no, it's really hard to break out of that box. But you have, which is why I wanted to bring you on here. I mean, ever since I've known you in high school and maybe even in middle school, you always seemed like someone who was out. You somehow managed to remain outside of that. Like, you were like free from it, you know, in some way. So what has been your experience trying to hold other men accountable? You mentioned holding them accountable, so what's been your experience with that?
Basically, it's, well, if you're truly my friend, it's basically being able to be like, hey, if I can be able to say something, are you going to accept that feedback?
Yeah.
And basically just, again, calling it out. Sometimes there's that idea of just like, ooh, is this my place to step in? Is this my role? That's something that, that relationship is something I should mess with. But again, my thing is, if I'm truly your friend, you'll be receptive to feedback and know, hey, what you're doing is wrong. And I'm doing that out of love for you and who you're with, not saying anything would be wrong. So I've had to do that, or just try to hold myself up and live my life personally how I would want to live. Like, I have my wife, and now I have my beautiful son, and basically just
little baby.
Yes. And so that's just how I want to live my life personally, and hopefully that can radiate out. Basically, not only talking the talk, but walking the walk.
I think it does. Also, something that Justin didn't mention, well, he mentioned it, but the Waco Hanan Foundation, he's the board of, it's primarily focused on women and young girls.
Yes.
And so having his voice there is really, really important, and clearly he has a good perspective on all of this. And so the next question is, what are some small everyday things men can do to show up as allies?
Small everyday things that men can do. That is a really good question. I mean, I think it's just always just being aware, making sure that when you're about to make a joke, because again, a lot of us come from, but still we hear like a lot of times, especially on the internet, you hear like the new masculinity, you hear like that pressure, like double taking, think to yourself, before you say something, is this a right thing to say? Is this a healthy thing to say? Being aware of some of the things like, and also just talking and being like aware of like, especially looking at the other gender with other women, basically just like, hey, like, let me hear you, let me not try to talk over you, or not being already prepared to say something, even if it's something I disagree with, or even if it's something I'm just like, not just ready to talk in response, letting finish and just be like, hey, let me take that, let me absorb that, and be cognizant of my response.
Not mansplaining.
Correct.
No, I love that. I love that you brought up educating yourself. Like, so much of this is really what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a key point in like prevention work is you have to educate yourself.
Yep.
And men have to educate themselves, or they're going to continue to perpetuate harm.
Absolutely.
So thank you for saying that.
And another thing I'll say is that it's so easy to get down that rabbit hole. We're seeing it constantly about men who I think are, in many ways, are still trying to figure out where they are in life. Men and boys are trying to figure out where they are in life. I don't know if you've seen the movie Adolescence and on Netflix, and how yes, it was shocking. And some of the things I knew exactly the lexicon, the language they were talking about, because the internet can be so there's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down, and if you're not careful.
For sure. It's a scary place.
It is.
It really, really is. I know some people whose sons are going down crazy paths because of the internet. Not because of how they're being raised, but because of the internet.
Yep.
It's really scary. We're actually going to do a podcast episode on the show, Adolescence. Ooh. Yeah, because it really does talk about so many great things.
It does.
Yeah, and my last question is, if a young boy is listening right now, what's one message you like him to walk away with? Or imagine it being your son in a few years.
I'd say, oh man, that's a big one. Just like, what I'd say to my son, like
I know, right? It's such a big
especially
thing.
because he's not longer like able to walk. I would say, basically, be a good man. Be someone who stands up for justice. Be someone who, think about your mother. That's someone you love and respect. Someone who raised you, treated you right. How would you treat her? And treat that, and that's how you treat people. That's how you treat other women. You treat them with respect. You treat them with kindness, regardless of who they are. If they have a personal connection to you, or not. That's in the end, we're all people, and so we all need to treat each other well because that's how we want to be treated.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So every episode we end with a relationship goal and a recommendation. So the relationship goal for this episode is to respect or to set boundaries and respect boundaries over the holidays. It's a really busy time, lots of people involved, and just make sure you're protecting yourself and also protecting other people as well. And then our recommendation is provided by Justin.
All right. Basically, one of the things I really want to do for over the holidays is I want to continue to be close with my family. I want to see, as a new father, I want to see just like, hey, what more can I do as my wife especially is about to go back to work? What more can I do to take on, to make sure, what roles can I do, or what actions can I do to make sure that when she comes home, because she's a doctor, so it's like a case of, hey.
She's a doctor?
She's a doctor, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like, she's busy, and also I know it's going to be tough when she's away. What more can I do to make sure when she gets home, she can focus on our son, on making sure that she can bond with him, and not have to worry about like, oh, is this done? Is this done? Is this done? So being more aware of, hey, what can I do to make sure that I'm a better husband and basically better father?
Y'all, this is exactly why I invited him on today. Thank you so much for being here. That's a wrap for this episode. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco, or if you are looking for more prevention content, on Instagram you can follow us at ACCVC_prevention. Okay?
Thanks so much for tuning in to Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. Interested in more content from P&E or the Advocacy Center? You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention or on Instagram and Facebook at Advocacy Waco. Be sure to like this episode and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Bye.